A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thought. He loses touch with reality. A good servant, but a bad master, and lives in a world of illusion. And all so-called civilized people have increasingly become crazy and self-destructive.
Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So you guys voted, and we listened. We are doing our verses on Poltergeist.
Yep. 1982 versus 2015. We want to thank everybody that voted on our last poll. We will have another poll coming up eventually. This is our first ever fan voted episode, so we really hope that you guys enjoy it. There's a lot that these movies have in common, but there is a fair amount that they do have that are different. So let's get started and start talking about the original.
So let's talk about Tobe Hooper's Poltergeist from 1982. Something that made both Ken and I laugh pretty hard is in the beginning when the neighbors are fighting with the remote. They're on the same channel, so if they change the channel, the neighbor's channels change, and they're trying to watch the game.
My kids want to watch Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
As they're watching the football game.
It's so funny, and I love that, the
Sprinkle,
bickering. Yeah.
And you have that sprinkle of humor into a movie that's going to get pretty heavy. Speaking of which, they have a pet, which is a bird that dies. And you get your first little glimpse at what Carol Ann is capable of when she says that the bird doesn't like the way it smells inside the cigar box. So they put some licorice in there. They put some family photos just in case he wakes up, he won't be alone. And they put some flowers in there. And this seems like a scene that's not very important. But in the grand scope, this really shows that she has a connection with the dead.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the smell in there because it's a cigar box. So I thought that was a pretty important scene in the grand scope of things.
For sure. I even like how Mom, she just wants to flush it down the toilet, and Carol Ann's standing there lady?
We being serious right now, Mom?
That is our pet. So also, let's talk about the ghost into the wall, how it makes the whole house shake. It flies out through the TV, and then the whole house is like an earthquake.
Now, while this movie does have a lot of great practical effects, a lot of the CGI doesn't hold up as well.
It doesn't.
But this is one that I think doesn't look too bad. We'll talk about some other ones here in a little bit.
That aren't so great.
Before we talk about creepy and shitty CGI, let's hear from some creepy and shitty people real quick. I love that. There is no way that I would let anybody talk to my daughter like that.
No, and I mean, I wouldn't be in there just smiling. First of all, that dude, he reached in my window and tried to take some of my my breakfast, and now you're gonna be
catcalling my 16-year-old.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's weird. You're an adult man. No, that's not okay.
I do like how she's
yeah.
I do. She sticks up for herself.
She does.
She's a 16-year-old girl. That part makes you super, super uncomfortable.
Absolutely. So let's talk about something else that would make me uncomfortable. Is when the dog is barking at the spot on the wall that the ghost went into. And at first she's like, "Why are you barking? What's going on?" And then he keeps barking.
And she realizes the spot.
Yeah, she gets on, you can tell, she gets this uneasy feeling. What is that?
And, they say that dogs can see the dead. That's something, they have a clairvoyancy of their own. So that's obviously, I think, something that's very, very spooky at the time.
Yeah, I mean, that would scare me. Molly, our dog barking at just anything, that creeps me out.
Yeah, because Molly never stops barking.
No, so
you guys have probably heard Molly in a couple different episodes.
There's ghosts all over our house.
Now, we talk about some of the, the practical effects that look really good. And one of the effects I think looks really good is when they're pushing the chair across the floor.
Yes.
She brings the dad in and she's like, watch this. And then the chair just goes across the floor.
Yeah.
Now, where this gets a little silly, she's like, Carol Ann, come here. And she takes her daughter and puts her daughter there, and she goes across the floor. And she's like, Daddy, it tickles. It's like, yeah, ghost, come play with our little girl.
Right. No, that's hilarious. And the dad grabs her before she runs into the wall. Yeah. And you can tell he's just so scessed out. He had this hard day at work, and then he's coming home to this.
Right.
What is happening?
I just had to deal with an 8-hour shift, and I'm coming home to shit,
right.
Scooting across my floor.
What's going on here?
Let's keep the funniness going.
Yeah, so let's talk about when Carol Ann's missing and they're looking for her. And Dad, he pretty much just drops his leg into the pool.
That's a total Hulk Hogan leg drop. Right into. Good thing she wasn't.
I know. If she was, she would have been she's drowning, and then Dad just leg drops her.
Right.
She's done.
So one moment that is very beautiful, and again, the CGI here doesn't hold up as well. But Tobe Hooper, the director, Steven Spielberg, the producer, did a great job when it comes to trying to balance the CGI and the practical. And obviously something from 1982, the CGI doesn't hold up as well.
Yeah.
But the scene where the apparition is coming down the stairs, and it's a beautiful apparition, and, you know, everybody's just looking at it. You have, like, the guides that are there. Everybody is just like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful thing. Like, we have proof right here in front of us. So that's another scene that I thought was very, very important in the grand scope of the film.
Yeah, even me watching it, it still like memorizes me. Like, could you imagine seeing that in real life? Like, that'd be crazy. So let's talk about another, the CGI isn't great, where the skull is coming out of the closet at Dad, and he lets out the biggest scream ever. Yeah, which I get it. I mean, that's scary. You don't, you know, see skulls coming out of your daughter's closet every day. Yeah. But, yeah.
Typical Saturday night for the Sledges.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked openly about our love and appreciation for Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann. You know, she died way too young.
Yeah, very tragic thing that happened to this little girl.
A lot of tragedy surrounding the film. Dominique Dunn, you know, obviously, that plays the older sister. She lost her life at a very young age.
For nonsense.
Yeah, because of his crazy ex-boyfriend. Heather O'Rourke lost her life because of a medical misdiagnosis. I'm not putting any of this on the film. Neither one of us believe in a curse of poltergeist. We believe in a doctor made a mistake and a crazy guy committed a terrible crime. It has nothing to do with on-set things in a film.
Right.
But one thing that makes me just so, like, bubbly almost is when they're trying to clean up Carol Ann, and you can see Heather, like, her eyes fluttering, and she's trying not to smile.
She's
like,
so cute. It's like you look past any of, you know, she's a little girl and she's so cute, and it doesn't matter. Like, you still love her for it.
Right. As you're watching, you're like, oh, come on. But at the same time, you're like, I'll let it pass.
Yeah.
You're so damn adorable, Carol Ann. I love you to death.
For sure. So let's talk about Mom when she gets pulled up the wall. I feel like Nightmare on Elm Street it took this from there, or at least, you know, paid homage to it.
I feel, you know, watching this now, like, this was 1982.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street was 1984.
Well, we seen this, and we actually looked up and seen which one came first, and it was Poltergeist.
Because, like, obviously, you know, you had Poltergeist in 82, Nightmare in 84. I feel like the Tina scene is very reminiscent
for sure
of this.
I mean, she even has like the jersey on. Mom does. Like, it's very, I feel like they definitely paid homage to it.
Yeah, for sure. And I love it. Like, we're watching, obviously as a kid, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street first.
Yeah.
I watched Nightmare on Elm Street more. So, like, I always thought, like, this looked like Nightmare on Elm Street. When in fact, Nightmare on Elm Street looks like this.
We looked it up, and Poltergeist did it first.
Another one is when you have the monsters at the door. Again, now this is where the CGI looks a little wonky, but when you get the monster at the door, you know, it's got the legs on it, and Mom's freaking out. Like, that's another, I love it because it reminds me of being a kid, and that's another thing I want to talk about really quick. A lot of these effects, while they don't hold up now, when I was a young boy watching this movie,
it looked awesome, right?
It was insane.
Yeah.
I was like, how do they make it look so real? How are we ever going to get better than this?
We always do.
But yeah, so that was one of the ones where I'm just like, wow. And I look back and watch it now and I'm like, ugh. But like, you watch it back when I was a kid, this was fantastical looking. Like, you had that fantasy element and it just looked fantastic. It's just so good. So good as a kid. Doesn't hold up as well now.
So let's talk about all the skeletons that are in the pool. So,
the controversy around the film.
Yeah, they're actually real skeletons, and that's just insane to me. Yeah, that is the biggest controversy. That's why, you know, they say the curse or whatever.
To me, there's so many different movies that use real human skeletons.
Absolutely.
It's cheaper.
That's crazy to me too. Like, it's cheaper to use a human skeleton than a plastic skeleton. Crazy.
But, again, I don't believe in any type of curses like that. I don't think this film is cursed.
Yeah. But I mean, that scared me though. Those skeletons coming up, and then like you have the skeleton coming out of the,
and it's funny because they look so good
because they're real.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't get more practical than that.
No.
Than a real human skeleton. So
no, I vouch to you can use my skeleton in a horror movie when I die someday.
Right, and I promise you, I will do that.
Okay.
If you ever die, I will be the one that uses it. So
okay,
I will use your skeleton in a horror movie. So, and this is a part that I just love. I love the realization of this freak out.
You son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones!
This is where you finally realize they moved the headstones.
Mm-hmm.
They left the people.
They left the people there. Like, you lazy pieces of crap. Like,
right.
You know, these people are going to see their family and they're not even really there. Like, you did it the fastest, cheapest way you could, and you didn't care about any of those families.
Disrespectful and disgusting thing you could have done.
That's horrible. Like, these families are going to this new one where they think they're
not even giving their love and affection to their family member. They're
and you just build a house over these dead people. Like, that is most horrible thing ever.
Way.
So let's talk about how the house disappears at the end. It's gone. It explodes.
Really, it implodes.
It's just like
on itself,
and then it's bad.
Right, which is funny because in part 2 he's like, "Yeah, well, we can't get insurance on a house that disappeared." It's
so true. Like, I don't know what happened to my house. Okay, it's just not there anymore.
It just imploded. It's gone. And another thing that I really do like in this movie is the ending. How, they leave the house, they drive away, because they did try to leave earlier in the film.
Yes.
Remember, like, they sent the brother off and they tried to leave, but more stuff happened and they had to, but they leave, they go to the motel, and then you have Dad pushing the TV.
He's like, fuck that.
Yep, no more TV for us.
No more technology, we're done.
Right. So that's overall some of the things that we liked and disliked about Poltergeist 1982. Let's talk about some of the things we like and dislike about the 2015 remake.
So let's talk about things that we like and dislike from 2015's Poltergeist.
One thing I want to say right off the rip that I absolutely love. A lot of times when you do remakes, reimaginings, you keep the characters the same.
Mm-hmm.
To honor Heather O'Rourke's memory.
Yes.
And to, really, really cement that she was Carol Ann. The little girl in this movie's name is Madison.
Yes.
Maddie. I got little emo goosebumps right now. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's only one Carol Ann.
Yeah, and she, she's
unfortunately
no longer
she's not with us. But we're not gonna, we're not gonna try to redo what that young lady did.
I love how she's completely opposite too. Like, she's got dark hair. Carol Ann, had that bright blonde hair. Like, they just made her a complete opposite of what Carol Ann was.
And I feel like that was intentional.
I do too.
And extremely respectful.
Absolutely.
So for anything I may say that I dislike about the remake, that already gives it 2 extra points.
Yeah. Because
of the love and respect they showed to Heather O'Rourke as Carol Ann.
Mm-hmm.
You're Carol Ann, and you will forever be Carol Ann.
Right.
Wonderful job, guys. Perfect example of being great human beings. Obviously, Ash and I like practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
One effect that I love in this movie is when you have Madison, and she's outside and she's pushing the stick down, and then the stick comes right back up.
Yeah.
And she pushes it down and she's laughing at it. Like, it's little moments like that in films, like where they let the little kids eat the scenery.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scene that really made me smile.
Yeah. Another one is where she is touching her door handle on the closet and her hair is just going staticky, and she's showing her brother Griffin, like, look, and he's like, what's going on?
How are you doing that?
Yeah, and then he does it and his hair gets all staticky. Right. Looks really cool.
So one thing that I can say is jump scares are always fun. Not as fun when you have a wife like this that screams. And she screamed very loud at this part.
No. Oh, shit!
My wife was scared by a squirrel.
Okay, in my defense, you were scared too.
Because you screamed in my face! One thing we should have said, we watched this movie when it came out in 2015.
We did. We went and seen it in the theater. And I feel like...
Haven't seen it since then.
I feel like we watched it and we kind of like wrote it off.
Forgot about it.
And then we completely forgot about it. Like, we felt like there was nothing memorable.
Right.
On
a rewatch, I found a lot of things that I really enjoyed about this movie that I did think were memorable. But I just wanted to say that real quick because obviously, you've seen this movie 1,000 times. A jump scare scared you. We've seen it once back in 2015. At the time of filming, it's 2023.
Yes.
And 8 years since we had seen a movie one time, we forgot a lot of the things.
I forgot. I forgot so much about this movie.
Right.
But another thing that looked really cool is when the piano, the toy piano, is lighting up, and everything is kind of happening, and you have that like. It's like energy, like making that piano light up. It looks really cool.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the energy, for those of you that don't know, huge baseball guy here.
I think everybody knows.
When you have the baseball moving across the room and going over to the closet, I was like, because usually I put myself in movies, and as a little boy, anything would have rolled to that closet, I'd have been like, I'm out. But if it was a baseball, I'd probably have been like,
that's my baseball.
I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
That's going to be mine anyway.
So we have to talk about this right here.
They're coming. Who is? Who is coming?
So they definitely tried to make it their own. They gave us this build up and they gave us they're coming first, you know. So obviously, well, we'll talk about this more when we first it.
But what I love about, you have 4 movies as of the time of filming
Yes.
in the Poltergeist franchise, and every time it's something different. In the original, you have the they're here.
Yeah.
You do get that here, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Here.
In the second one, you have they're back.
Mm-hmm.
In the third one, you have Kane saying we're back.
Yes.
And in this one, you have they're coming.
Yeah.
So I thought that was all really cool. Another part I thought was really cool is when Kendra, the sister, she goes into the garage and you have the bubbling and oozing coming out of the ground, and it grabs her, and you see the guy in the background, the skeleton in the background. I thought that was a great moment in this film.
Yeah, it's an homage to Poltergeist 3. Totally looks, you know, from when they're in the
parking garage.
parking garage.
We
yes.
totally Leonardo did. Like I said, we haven't seen this movie in 8 years. Oh, that's Poltergeist 3, which my wife is wearing the Heather O'Rourke onesie from Poltergeist 3. Just had to point that out real quick. Yeah, it's a total Poltergeist 3 homage.
Oh, for sure.
And for those of you that don't know, that's Ashley and I's favorite film in this franchise.
Which is crazy that we agree on
I know.
a film.
Never happens.
It doesn't.
So after that, another thing I really like is when you have like the orbs and the lights and her little pet pig
Yes.
rolling into the closet. Like obviously in the original, you have everything sucking in there. This one's not as big, you know, which can be scarier at times. And I feel like the tone down of this made it a little scarier for me.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Another thing is when you know, the help what is he, like the
One of the Ghostbusters,
yeah, one
so
of
to
them.
speak.
He's trying to drill a hole in the wall, and it completely takes the drill, and then the drill comes back out, and it's you know, getting closer and closer to his face, and you have this close up of him like freaking out. It looks great, and I mean that's another scene that like gives you that anxiety type feeling.
Another good part about that is he's the one that's the most skeptical.
Yeah, well, he's trying to like make money from it, like
He's just having fun with it. You know,
Yeah.
did you put the heat thing in the closet? More than less.
yeah.
She's like, you got to take this more seriously. He goes up there with the drill. He's like, I'll show you more seriously. Oh! And then
Yeah.
he's the one that faces the apparition. One scene that I really, and it's super simple. This is completely practical. We watch the special features. It's her running in front of a light. This is not CGI. This is not computer generated. But when you have Shadow Maddie.
I love that they put that in there. You actually get to see her on the other side.
Right. Because we talk about, you know, you've had it in Stranger Things.
Yes.
You have it in this, how you have the dimensions. And if you can poke a hole in the dimension, you know, that it's something that's been talked about since, you know, way back. And, you know, when you actually see her shadow, but not her, what is she running from? What is she scared of? Where can we get her? Where's the portal to get her? So to actually see the shadow happen, I thought was super, super awesome.
Yeah, so when she's when you think Maddie's in the closet and she's crying and Dad's like, Maddie, Madison,
It's
like
Daddy.
it's Daddy, and yeah, and then you get that jump scare.
It's me, honey.
Which was also another very, very effective jump scare.
Yeah.
To see that happen, you know, because you know what's gonna happen.
Obviously we know it's not her. She's just sitting in the closet. If Daddy was calling out to her, she would have gotten up. So
But to
clearly
see
it's not her.
Her mutilated face.
Yes.
You know, it's scary because it's sad and it's so quick.
And all he just wants his daughter.
Right. And he says that so many times, like, I'm putting my trust in you
Yes.
here. Another scene that I really liked is when they're trying to fly the drone into the other dimension. You get a little bit of the other dimension in the OG Poltergeist. In this one, you get a lot of the other dimension. You get to see a lot of it. And when you see the drone going into the closet and going through the dimension and the things that are moving on the wall, like, well, you know, I'm not a huge CGI guy.
I mean, it kind of looks like a video game.
And it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Because if you remember at the beginning of the movie, Griffin was playing a video game that looked just like that. So it was kind of like that foreshadowing at the beginning of the movie. So you have that, and then you have him is the one that's able, because he tries to let the other guy do it, and he just flies it in.
He just hits the wall, and he just hands it over, like, here you go, buddy.
All right, here you go.
Yeah.
You know, then he's flying it through. So that was another one that I thought that scene looked really, really good, and it was really effective to see what's happening on the other side. Why Maddie is so scared.
Right. So you think they got away, they're in their van, and everyone's getting ready, they're like, leave, Dad, let's go. And then the van flips, and like they're not going to let you leave.
Well, both of these movies, something that they do, it's the typical 80s thing, that really started with Friday the 13th. It had, with Carrie, and then Friday the 13th, where you think that it's over, and, you have the sweet music playing, and then it pulls you right back in.
They're all saying their goodbyes, and then, and then Maddie gives a line like,
we got to go.
Yeah, like they're not gone. They didn't go into the light. I didn't lead them into the light. And then they're like, go, Dad, go.
And then you see, once the van gets flipped, it gets sucked back into the house.
Yes.
And they're looking for Maddie. And then you see her go flying up the stairs, like up the wall and up the stairs. That looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like so scary since this little girl and she's flung all the way up these stairs, but it looks so damn good.
And then you see the monsters at the closet, and they're just
trying.
They want her to take them to the light.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Like I said, we do not hate the 2015 remake.
No.
We do not. Now, how does it hold up against the original? Let's find out. And let's verse off some scenes that are extremely similar and see which ones we like the most. All right, guys, so we've talked about the original. We've talked about the remake and scenes that we liked and disliked from each of those. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about things that are similar and decide which one we like the most. So, obviously, we got to start with the cast.
Yes.
This is hard.
This one was really hard for me, too. I agree. I love them from the original. I think the cast from the remake is really good. You get the family element in both of them. Like, it feels real.
There's never a point in either one of these movies where I felt that it was disingenuous.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't genuine. But obviously, Heather O'Rourke, I got to go with the original on this one.
I got to go with the original as well.
And again, it's hard. I really like the cast of the remake. I thought it was a very well casted movie.
Yeah, like the dad, he kind of jokes around. It feels like a real family,
right.
But the original does too. And like you said, we have Heather O'Rourke, and she's so freaking
cute. And Dominique
cute.
Dunn is great in that movie too.
Yeah,
like the little brother in the original.
Yeah, he's always smiling.
He got way better in other movies.
Yeah,
but in the first one,
he
Now, a big thing with this movie is, in the original, they are buried on a Native American burial ground. Mm-hmm. In the remake, they were just on a regular old cemetery.
Right.
Which I'm not saying, like, that's better.
Right.
But which one of those aspects did you like more?
I feel like it makes it scarier that it was, like, a Indian burial ground,
right.
Because just when you think about all the stuff that has happened, and like we came and we took their land, right. And
well, look at all the other, like Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Was on a Native American burial ground.
Yeah, and like it's just like you feel like there's like dark magic or something right. that goes with it.
Especially because when we were younger, that was something that everything was on a Native American burial ground.
Yeah.
And that's the scariest point to be because the land is cursed.
Right. So I feel like the original, it makes it scarier because they said that.
Right. I agree. I'm going to go with the original on this one as well. But, either way, you're buried on a cemetery.
It's not cool.
Pretty bad.
Not
pretty
cool.
Scary.
Yeah.
Now, one scene that is almost identical is when you have them touching and talking to the TV. There's one major difference here, though. Mm-hmm. And that is, in the original, you have, Heather O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Right here.
Just the static going across.
But in the remake, you have Madison touching the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all the other hands coming back out at her. That's why I'm going with the remake on this one, actually. I like the fact that we, as the viewer, get to see what she's seeing in this moment.
I'm going to agree with you there. Like, I feel like actually seeing the hands and not just hearing her talk to them.
Right.
I think that makes it scarier.
Right. Well, obviously, we're going to go with the remake together on that one. And I think we're going to think the same on this next one, too. First, let's hear our friend Carol Ann say they're here.
They're here.
Now let's hear young lady Maddie, our friend, say they're here.
They're here.
Which one of those did you feel was more effective?
I have to go with the original. Like, I feel like that is something that I have to take from the original. It's where it came from, and just the way she says it, it's just more more I don't know, I'm trying to say impactful, yes.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I'm going with the original on this one as well, because with Maddie, it's just like, they're here.
Yeah.
Like they're here.
Yeah.
Carol Ann's got the they're here. Yeah.
Yes.
So definitely go with the original on that one as well. Now, There's two scenes that are extremely similar. In the OG, you have the one take of mom, at the table. She gets up, she walks over, she looks in the drawers, she turns around, and all the chairs are stacked on top of the table. She gets up there. Oh, I've always been impressed by that take. That it's a one take, unbroken shot, looks great. In the remake, you have Griffin walking into the room. He turns around and all his comic books are stacked up, and then they blow apart right in his face. So, which of those did you like more?
I'm gonna go with the remake on this one. Actually, I thought that it looked really good. And then when they blow in his face and he's scared and he's trying to tell them what happened and nobody's listening to him. I think it looked pretty good.
Well, I am gonna go with the original on this one, just because, like I said, it's always been the one shot, and I thought that was really good. But one thing I want to add in with the Poltergeist remake, they really do have a really good story arc with Griffin.
Yeah.
And who he is at the beginning versus who he is at the end. You get to watch him grow throughout the movie as well, which I thought was a very, very good addition into the film.
For sure.
Now, here's one that might get a little controversial. The tree attack.
The tree.
In the original, you have the tree coming through his window, take him out, and then it eats him. He's
like stuck in, yelling for mom and dad.
But in the remake, the tree goes all through the house, grabs him. It shows him going through the hallways and going back out the window. So, of the two of those, which one did you like the most?
The original. This was done in 1982, okay? And the way that looks, the way that the tree looks, grabbing him, going through the window and grabbing him, I think looks amazing. And him just dangling in the tree, I have to go with the original on that one.
I'm actually going with the remake. I think the original looks great. I think it looks fantastic. But there's something scarier to me about being drugged through the whole house by the tree. It came actively searching through the whole house to try to grab you and take you back. So there's something about that I think is just amazing. Now, when it comes to versing, this next one may be the hardest one for me to have said this is my favorite. And it's when Carol Ann or Maddie goes into the closet. Now, in the original, you have the vortex, that's sucking, and she's hanging on, Carol Ann, help me, and then she goes sucked into the closet. But in the remake, Maddie's pig rolls into the closet. So she walks in after her pig, she turns around, and it looks like a mile away, and then the things grab her and pull her in. So of those two, which one did you like the most?
This one is a hard one, but I have to go with the original. It scared me when I was a kid, when she's holding on and it's just sucking all of her toys in and she can't hold on anymore and she lets go and she's gone. Like, that freaked me out.
Right. That looks amazing, but I'm more scared by the remake. I'm going to go with the remake on this one.
Okay.
When Madison walks into that closet, you're already like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Because she's doing it on her own. She's not being sucked in.
Right.
And then she turns around and you see how far away the door is now.
Yeah.
And you see those things just grab her and you have that helpless feel. Obviously, neither one of them are good.
Right.
They both would be a shitty situation for a parent or a child.
Yeah.
But there's just something about Maddie's that is so much darker and scarier to me. Like, literally darker. Like, Carol Ann's, like, there's lightning and it's bright. She's sucked into a big bright light in the closet. Madison's is literally dark. It's just dark everywhere. So I'm going to go with the remake on that one. We're going to go back to some audio now. Like, this is when Carol Ann gets stuck in the TV.
I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? Mommy!
And here's where Madison gets stuck in the TV.
Mommy.
So of those, which one did you, I hate saying like most about this one, which one affected you the most out of these two?
I'm gonna go with the original again. Carol Ann, she's trying to talk and mom's like, where are you? And then she looks and she realizes like she's coming from the TV. Like, that's so impactful to me. So
I'm gonna go with the original as well. This was another hard one. Because, in the remake, we have Griffin, and he's right there with it. And I'm a big Griffin fan. I think he's probably one of my favorite characters in the remake. But there's just something about that original. Mommy?
Yeah.
Mommy?
She's like, Carol Ann, where are you, Carol Ann? And then she realizes.
Yeah, laser focus.
Like, she's in the TV. Like, what the hell?
Right. So now we talked a little bit earlier about the guy from the paranormal group, the Ghostbusters, as we call them. Now, the paranormal groups in both these movies have big parts. They really do, for different reasons. But which paranormal group did you like more?
Again, I have to go with the original. I felt like they were more like involved, like they
And ballsy.
yeah, the one guy's in his kitchen or in the kitchen like, I'm gonna get a snack, and he pulls out a steak. Well, first he pulls out a chicken leg, and then he's eating their steak. Like, that's not a snack, that's a freaking meal.
So, like, that's such a ballsy move.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I'm gonna go grab a snack. He grabs a chicken leg and a steak.
I'm just gonna cook up your steak that's in there.
For that reason, I'm going with the original as well. I do like a lot of the original stuff because they, like you said, they're more active. Like the one lady, after they see the room spinning and she goes down and she's just shaking while she's drinking her tea. And I do like the paranormal group from part 1, the original. But the ones in the remake are great.
They are. They're not bad. Yeah.
They're more like you said, they're more like not involved.
Yeah,
they're more background.
Background, yeah,
so,
for sure.
But I am gonna go with the original. But like, just because the one dude had the balls to say, I'm gonna go grab a snack, and he grabs a chicken leg and a steak.
Right.
Like, gosh, man, like it's pretty ballsy of you, man.
For sure.
Now while we're talking about them, in the original, when they figure out the house is truly possessed, he's like, I put a Matchbox car on the ground, and in 8 hours it rolled 2 feet. You would have never noticed it to the naked eye. Like, oh, well, you might notice this. And they open the door and, like, the whole room is spinning and the record is playing and laughing is happening.
Yeah.
And then in the remake, same thing. He's telling him about a story and you would barely catch it by the naked eye. He goes to sit down and the chair goes flying and smashes on the wall. And Dad's like, did you catch that with the naked eye?
Right.
He just walks by. So it's a great scene, but of the two, which one did you like the best?
I'm gonna go with the remake on this one, just because
Dad.
because Dad, yeah, like how like sarcastic he is, and it made me laugh.
Catch that one with the naked eye?
Also, I feel like the stuff in the room spinning, it doesn't hold up today. Like the CGI of all that stuff like coming at you, it doesn't look good.
I agree. The stuff doesn't look good, but I am going to go with the original on this one. Just for the sheer fact that, like, afterwards, how she's shaking, and it's like, oh, you might notice this.
Yeah.
Like, that's another part that really makes you laugh. And you're right. The CGI in this does not hold up. It looks very bad today. But as a kid, this blew my mind. Like, completely blew my mind. So, we talk about sad shit. We got some more audio for you guys. Here's Carol Ann begging for help.
God, oh my God.
And here's Madison begging for help.
Daddy, where are you?
We're home. We need you to come back to us now, honey.
I tried, but I can't find you.
Now, I'm really not going to say which one's your favorite, because that's dark. But which one of these would you say affected you the most?
Again, I'm gonna have to go with the original. Just the way, Mom, like, when she hears it and it just breaks her. And like, I get it, like, she's a mama bear, like, she's the one that goes in the closet. So
yes, and I'm gonna go with the original as well. And this is nothing against Madison. The girl that played Madison was fantastic.
Oh, she did a great job.
The one downfall to me is Heather O'Rourke existed.
Yeah.
So like there's just no topping Carol Ann to me, so I got to go with the original on this one. Now here's a moment where I would rather have a shitty practical effect than a shitty CGI effect. Now we talked about our boy getting the chicken wing and the steak. Well then, he sees the maggots and he starts to freak out. He runs into the bathroom and literally pulls his face apart.
Yeah.
Does it look the greatest now? No. Did it scare the living dog shit out of me as a kid? Yes.
Me too.
So we got that moment of him pulling his face off. But then in the remake, we have Dad, who's, starting to puke up, and he's puking up the dirt, and the worms are coming out of his face, and he sees the reflection in the sink faucet. Which one of those did you like the most?
I have to go with the original. Like you said, scared me as a kid. This guy's, he's ripping off his own face, and it may not hold up as great as it did back then.
I'll still take that than a shitty CGI effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that's why I'm going with that one as well. I don't think the remake looks bad, but what bothers me about the remake is it's all shot through a faucet reflection.
Yeah.
If we could have seen more of like him with the worms and stuff coming out, I think I would have maybe gone with that one.
I don't know. You don't like that.
I don't
kind of
like gross
You
stuff,
don't
but-
like watching people vomit, like things, anything to do with like eating, stuff like that.
Right.
That's not your thing.
It is not. So this one's probably going to be the easiest one. You have two clairvoyants that come in to save the day. In the original,
sorry.
you have Tangina. In the remake, you have Kerrigan Burke.
Yeah.
Of the two,
Tangina.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
The original or the remake?
Tangina from the original. I mean, what is it? Kerrigan Burke.
Yeah.
He's okay. Like, he's got all these like wound stories and stuff that he's telling the kids. He's okay.
He's funny.
But he is no Tangina. No Tangina.
Again, I want to say this. It's just like if you had somebody replace Brad Dourif as Chucky. It's like when Jackie Earle Haley replaced Robert Englund as Freddy. It's like if you tried to replace Carol Ann, people would have had a backlash on that.
You can't.
You cannot replace Tangina. Even though you did a different character, like, which I respect. They didn't try to do a Tangina again. Thank you. Zelda Rubinstein doesn't deserve to have her name wiped out either. So thank you guys for being so classy when it came to making a proper remake. But Carol Ann,
yeah, she's amazing. She's this little lady.
Oh, literally little lady.
But she isn't taking shit from anybody. You know, I love her.
Yeah.
Love her.
I'm also going with the original. I love Tangina. Kerrigan Burke was great.
Yeah.
He, you know, the house is clean.
Yes.
You know, I love him. But Tangina's my girl. Always been my girl. Now here's one that was really deep. In the original, you know, mom is going in the closet.
Yes.
So she can help to save Carol Ann. She's going to go into that other portal, that other dimension, and save her. In the remake, they're all downstairs. They're arguing over who's going to do it, who's going to do it. When they notice that Griffin is gone.
Is walking up.
They go up there and they say Griffin is going into the closet to save his sister because it's his fault in his mind.
Yeah.
Again, in this movie, Griffin at the beginning is a coward. Yeah. And I hate to say it because he's a child, but that's...
Well, he's very an anxious, like, scared
But even
kid.
Mom says that to him. She goes, I thought that your sister was the baby in the family, not you.
Yeah, and then she feels bad for saying it.
Because she should. That's a dick thing to say.
Yeah.
But you know, this is his arc. You
yes.
know, it's my fault. I left her. And she got taken. So now I'm going to bring her back. And he goes into the closet after her. So do you like the mom from the OG or Griffin in the remake?
So this is another really hard one for me to choose because I understand, like, the mama bear,
Yes.
like, she's not going to come to you. I will go in there. I will risk my life to save my daughter. Like, I completely get it. Like, give me that damn rope. I'm going in.
That was a funny part in the original, though. Because Tangina's like, I'm going to go in after her. And then the mom's like, no, she won't go to you. She'll go to me. And Tangina's like, but you've never done this before. And the mom's like, well, neither have you. And Tangina's like, you're right. Here's the rope.
Here we go. Bye. Go get your daughter. Yeah. But I do, like you said, I like the arc how Griffin, he, you know, was the scaredy cat. He was anxious. He was scared to sleep in his room by himself. And now he's going to go into this dark closet to save his little sister that he feels like, you know,
it's his fault.
Yeah, he didn't save her when he should have. He when everything was going on, he just told her to stay away from the closet. He didn't help her like he should have.
So which one are you going
I'm
with?
going to go with Griffin from the remake.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's again, I think that, you know, a mom would absolutely do what she did in the OG.
Absolutely.
But when a little brother like this has been through everything he's been through, and he told Carol Ann, don't move, stay there, and he ran away.
Yeah.
And then she got taken. So in his mind, this is my fault she's gone.
I didn't save her.
It's my responsibility now to get my sister back. And that's a beautiful moment between, and he's still a young man. He's a very young boy in the movie. But for him to, you know, man up like that and be like, you know what? I need to do this for my little sister. I need to be the one that saves her. Amazing moment. So I'm also going with the remake on this one as well. So we got one left. And I think you guys might know what it is.
Clowny Clown Clown?
One of the most... Did you just Crispin Glover?
I did.
Crispin... Clowny Clown Clown. For those of you that haven't heard the song Clowny Clown Clown, make sure you check that out too. Crispin Glover's the man. Probably the most iconic moment in the OG at least.
Oh,
the clown. And again, iconic because one, it's scary as hell. And two, the malfunction where it wrapped around the boy's neck. They couldn't get it off and it almost killed him.
Yes, so that's horrible.
Yes. So this is an iconic moment for more than one reason. But, you know, like you said, in the original, he looks under the bed. There's nothing there. He pops up in the clown's behind him and wraps his arm.
That scared the shit out of me.
Right. And then in the remake, you have just like the clown attack.
Well, yeah, you have his nose and it's like, his
comes
nose,
up.
And then he like,
Yeah. So of the two, which one is your favorite?
They're both pretty scary, to be honest with you.
Yes.
But
I will go as far as to say in the remake, they use the clown a little more.
Yeah.
Because there's more than one scene that's very effective with the clown.
I mean, they even have like a whole thing of clowns falling.
From the closet.
They really do use a lot of clowns. But I have to go with the OG on this one. I can still remember the fear of like knowing, like, you know, he throws his coat over that clown because he's always staring at him. He's like, I hate that thing. And then you have him, he's sitting there and he looks under his bed and then he's on top of his bed. That scared me so bad as a kid. And yeah, that I have to go with the OG.
I'm also going to the original on this one. For the same reason, like you had that moment, especially as a kid when you're watching it for the first time, you're ready for the under the bed.
Yeah, you
and there's
think
nothing
he's
there.
under the bed, yes.
Right, nothing happens. And then he gets up and he gets wrapped around his throat and he gets pulled away. Like such a scary moment in the film. So I'm going to go with the original on this one as well. So for those of you keeping track at home, that gives me 11 points for the original and 4 points for the remake.
And funny enough, I have 11 for the original and 4 for the remake.
But as always, sometimes the points don't matter. We like certain scenes more, but we like the other movie more. So if you had to choose, which one would you prefer? The 1982 Poltergeist or the 2015 reimagining of Poltergeist?
I have to go with the original. It's an iconic movie. You know, you get the iconic "they're here," and it's just, you have Carol Ann, you have Heather O'Rourke. She's so freaking cute, and just the way the family is, like the mom and dad, how like their relationship, like I feel like I believe them. Like I almost like I look at the mom and I see myself in her, you know, because I would go in and I would save my daughter if that was me, you know. And I just remember watching this as a kid and it still holds up to me to this day. So I'm not saying anything bad about the remake. I don't hate the remake in any way. But it's not the same.
Right. So I'm also going to go with the original as my favorite. What I want to say is I always thought the remake was not very good, but I just, it's not bad. It's a good reimagining. It's just one of those films that I felt was forgettable because I was in that moment of everything was being remade at the time, but I feel like it really does hold up. So I'm going to say the original as well. Now, we do want to say once again, guys, thank you so much for checking this out, and thank you for voting.
Yes.
Join us on our live episodes. We'd like to have these votes. We'd like to have your guys' input. So thank you again for watching, and until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.